Hello and welcome to News Central Now. I am Adebola Adedugba. The top stories of this hour. At least 105 die in Jigawa petrol tanker explosion. Oko Jumbo-led Rivers Assembly resolves to sanction Amawule Group over defection. Kenyan Senate launches impeachment debate for Deputy President Gachagua. And details shortly. Let's begin by telling you that a petrol tanker exploded in Magjia town, Taura local government area in devastating incident on Wednesday morning, claiming the lives of at least 105 people and leaving 50 others hospitalized. The explosion occurred around 12:30 a.m. when the driver of the tanker en route from Kano to Nguru in Edo State lost control near Khadija University, Magjia. According to the police public relations officer of Jigawa State Command, Lawan Adam, the tragedy was triggered by residents rushing to collect spilled petrol after the tanker overturned. Adam adds that the residents were scoping fuel from the overturned tanker when the explosion happened, igniting a massive inferno that killed 94 people instantly. In the meantime, the Jigawa State Police Command has attributed the high number of casualties and injuries in the Tuesday's fuel tank explosion to desperate attempts by locals to scoop fuel from the spilled products following the incident. The command's public relations officer, DSP Lawan Shisu, conveyed this in a voicemail sent to the journalists in Kano on Wednesday. Shisu explained that the police faced significant challenges in controlling the scene as many bystanders ignored warnings and approached the accident site, putting themselves in danger. The injured were swiftly transported to the General Hospital in Regime, where medical personnel are working tirelessly to treat the victims. And now to politics, where the Rivers State House of Assembly, led by Speaker Victor Oko-Jumbo, has resolved to take action against Martin Amawole and other lawmakers who announced their defection on the floor of the House on 11 December 2023. The resolution followed a motion of urgent public importance presented by the Assembly's leader, Sokare Goodboy. Goodboy urged the House to act against the defected lawmakers, arguing that they continue to participate in Assembly proceedings despite losing their seats due to defection from the PDP to the APC, All Progressives Congress. He contended that their action threatened the rule of law and undermined the Assembly's efforts to restore its integrity. Goodboy called on the Assembly, under Oko-Jumbo's leadership, to invoke constitutional provisions to hold the lawmakers accountable for their legal violations. And to unpack this, I'm joined by Nwisabari Bane Samuel, who is the chairman, National Youth Council of Nigeria, NYC and Rivers State Chapter. Good afternoon. Glad to have you join me on the news. Are you there? Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. I can hear. Thank you for having me on your program.
All right, so let me kick off by asking what your thoughts are with this back and forth in Rivers State. I mean, we have some have tagged it Rivers of Rage. Now we're having, Oko-Jumbo, saying that the seat of Amawule as well as 24 others, are now vacant. What do you make of this, statement?
I think the legislature remains the fulcrum of democracy, and there cannot be any democracy in the world without proper legislation. I think on this issue, the issue on the ground is sacrosanct, and I want to also use this opportunity to say that Rivers is a very important state in this country because of their key role they play in the revenue and resource of this nation. So it's a state where every person in this country is interested in. So some of these issues happen. But going straight to the matter, I think the person of Oko-Jumbo does not have the right whatsoever to suspend the 25 assembly members and Martin Amawole because they do not have the jurisdiction, they do not have the powers, they do not have the locus to do so. Why am I saying this? It is crystal clear. The appeal court judgment has stated it very clearly that, assuming without conceding that Martins Amewole and 25 others were not assembly members, he cannot also perform the business of the assembly. He lacks local standing to perform the business of the assembly. So now, on the current situation on ground, the appeal court has given Nigerians and Rivers State the way forward. And what is the way forward? Martins Amewole is the recognized assembly of the state that is saddled with the responsibility of performing the responsibility of legislation for Rivers State and Rivers State government and Rivers State people. So whatever Okojumbo would have said from a corner does not amount to anything, and nobody should take him serious, because 3 or 4 persons cannot represent the assembly of the states. They cannot legislate on behalf of the states. And as such, they... And I'm calling on everyone who cares and respects the rule of law, who cares for Rivers State, who cares for the peace and development of Rivers State, to cue and support the leadership of the assembly, every led by Right Honorable Martins Chike Amewole. That is the respected and known, properly constituted assembly according to the rule of law. You see, leadership is not about emotions. They sworn an oath to ensure that they will adhere to the rule of law. And what is the rule of law? You don't play emotions. You don't bring ethnicity. You don't bring in family. You don't bring in your own personal opinion. But what will benefit the people? And that is what we are here for. As for Rivers Youth, that is our own stand. Martins Amewole is the recognized speaker and leadership of the House of Assembly of Rivers State. Thank you on that very question.
Well, some would say, or some would argue that they themselves, like, you mentioned Martin Amewole being the recognized, member or leader of the House in Rivers State. Some have said that, Martin Amewole, as well as 24 others, are even, in fact, the architect of their own problem, having declared they have defected from, PDP to APC. But let's leave that aside now. Looking at how we have division in the House, how do you think they can carry out activities smoothly and peacefully, and also try to resolve this issue whereby we have 2 factions in Rivers State House Assembly?
Like I said, on this very issue, we have heard several competent courts entertain these issues, and it's very crystal clear. There are procedures for which a person will become a member of the community and will become a non-member of the community, a member of a political party and a non-member of a political party. I, because of my position, is constrained to being a member of a political party. But there are many of my youths which we lead that are members of political parties, and we know the formats, the tenets, how it is, if you want to become a member of any political party, there are procedures for you. If you want to gain admission into a university, there are procedures. And I cannot be a member of a particular university and claim benefits of another political university. But to wrap it up, what I want to say is that it has been established that Martins Amewole did not defect, owing to the information available to us from the courts and from his own political party, the PDP. They have come to say there has not been any time that Martins Amewole and the House of Assembly members wrote to us that they are defecting. The All Progressive Congress, which people claim that they defected to, has not come on there to say that these persons did not pass through any procedure to warrant them to be addressed as members of their political party. So it's crystal clear. Like I said in ab initio, leadership is not a business of emotions or a business of a particular few group of persons who wants to use the crisis in the state to amass wealth for themselves or to, drive home their selfish political desires. Rivers people, Rivers youth knows the truth. We are very law-abiding people, and that we believe and we know that it is only under the rule of law that we can have sustainable development in our states. And anything short of that, the reverse will be the case.
Okay,
so we are focused in Rivers States.
Okay.
We are determined that the rule of law is the only thing that will salvage this country, that will salvage this state. And we are in for it. So there has never been any time they defected. Never. If they ever did, records would have shown. Now, if records cannot, it means there is nothing like that. And they're also there to speak for themselves.
You touched on something, permit me to butt in there. You touched on something quite interesting, and that's the people of Rivers State, who are at the center, the heart of all of this, debacle. I imagine, like they say, when two elephants fight, it's the grass that suffers for it. How do you think this is affecting the people in Rivers State?
To be very honest with you, we are feeling the brunt of this political crisis rocking in the states. The state and the people, we wish that there will be peace. We desire that peace will return and everything will return to normal in Rivers State, but not at the expense of the rule of law. There are no great nations on earth that have not gone through turbulent times. And I want to use this opportunity to encourage Nigerians in Rivers State and Rivers Youth especially to remain steadfast. Because I know this time, this perilous time we are going through, it happened to the children of Israelites. They were captured and they were, in Egypt for so many years. It's normal. No great nation. There is no great nation on earth that does not have their stories and their histories. And this is part of our histories. But what I want us to know is that what you do during this time is very key. A renowned philosopher once said that the hottest part of hell is reserved for those who maintain neutrality in the times of social crisis. Rivers State is going through social crisis, and that is why we, the youth, will continue to stand on the path of justice, to stand on the path of rule of law, because that is the only solid foundation with which any society can attain development or achieve any sustainable development. Rivers youth and Nigerians in Rivers State, I urge you to be steadfast and pray for the unity of the state while you adhere to the rule of law, because we know this will surely lead us to our promise.
And that's a fine place to anchor it. Thank you so much for your insight on the news. Sabari Bani Samuel, Chairman, National Youth Council of Nigeria, NYC and Rivers State Chapter. Many thanks indeed. In preparation for the Ondo State governorship election on 16th November, political parties have received the voter register as mandated by Section 10, subsection 4 of the Electoral Act of 2022. The National Commissioner overseeing Ondo, Ogun and Osun State, Professor Kunle Ajayi, announced that over 2.05 million voters are registered following the comprehensive cleanup exercise. Professor Ajayi emphasized the Commission's commitment to free, fair and inclusive election, urging all political parties to mobilize their supporters to collect their permanent voter cards. He reminded the public that no one will be allowed to vote without a PVC, and legal action will be taken against anyone found with multiple cards. Ondo Resident Electoral Commissioner Babalola Oluwatoyin called for peaceful campaigns and collaboration and voter education, stressing the importance of maintaining the integrity of the electoral process. Meanwhile, the Inspector General of Police, Kayode Egbetokun, has urged police officers to replicate the successes of the recent Edo State election and the forthcoming Ondo State governorship election. And speaking during a quarterly conference with senior police officers in Abuja, the IGP stressed the importance of robust security presence, calling on officers to perform their duties impartially and professionally. Egbetokun emphasized that the mission is to create a safe environment where voters can freely exercise their democratic rights without fear or intimidation. He also commended the conduct of officers during the Edo election, attributing the peaceful outcome to their professionalism and coordination with other security agencies. We'll take a break now. When we return, CJN Kekereko expresses concern over pending cases in court. We have details shortly. Join us again. Thank you for staying tuned. And now to judicial matters, where the Chief Justice of Nigeria, Justice Kudirat Kayode, has expressed concern over judges delaying the delivery of verdicts in cases before them. The CJN warned that Nigerians could lose confidence in the judiciary if judges continue to fail to deliver judgments within the expected time frame. Kayode raised concerns about the low rate of case resolution among judges. She also criticized judges who fail to deliver a single judgment in a quarter, describing this trend as unacceptable. The Kogi State government and the Nigerian Army have commended efforts aimed at improving security around the Yagba West and Yagba East areas of the state. And this was as the state government and the Nigerian Army received a fully constructed and furnished forward operating base located at Egbe community and donated by federal lawmaker Sunday Karimi. And while they say that the base will resolve the Nigerian Army's logistical challenges and improve security in the area, allowing its personnel to tackle the rising insecurity being witnessed, the lawmaker expressed confidence that the area will now be safer.
The forest bounding between Kogi and Kwara has been an habitation for criminals. The people, our students in Kwara, in Kogi State University, that were kidnapped, they trekked and they were traced to forest around this area. You find out that kidnappings will be done in Ekiti, in Osun, in Ondo, and they will come around the forest, around this location, to come and collect their ransom. Our farmers can no longer go to farm. So I felt it challenging that what can I do to alleviate the situation for our people. The establishment of this forward operation base will serve to form a check of influx into Kogi State, provide the needed safety for our people, and also allow the Nigerian Army take firm control of the security of this area, including Yagba East and beyond.
The construction of this new FOB is very timely, bearing in mind the operational and logistical challenges we faced during the recent rescue of kidnapped students of the Confluence University of Technology, Kogi State, who were rescued from the forests adjoining Egbe town. I am confident that this facility will no doubt enhance military operations and overall security in Egbe and along the border between Kwara and Kogi States.
The Nigerian Army has underscored the need for its personnel to improve on activities aimed at defeating the multi-dimensional threats to national security. And these were the words of General Officer Commanding 3 Armored Division, Maxwell Kobe Cantonment in Jos, Major General Abdusalam Abubakar, during the opening ceremony for promotion of examination from the rank of Master Warrant Officer to Army Warrant Officer. Our correspondent, Chizoba Anyanwe, tells us more.
This yearly event draws qualified candidates from all the formations of the Nigerian Army in the country to participate in this promotion examination. Hosting this event by the 3 Division in Jos may not be unconnected with the relative peace that has been persistent on the plateau in recent time. Major General Abdusalam Abubakar is the host for this event, which held at the 3 Division Sports Complex.
Only the best can drive the efforts of the Nigerian Army towards defeating the multidimensional threats to our national security. The need to tackle these threats underscore our participation in internal security operations in aid to civil authority, and hence the need for the Nigerian Army to bring competent senior non-commissioned officers in the battlefield.
Nonetheless, these Master Warrant Officers, both male and female, numbering over 200, will be tested to prove their mettle in order to contribute effectively and efficiently to the fight against insurgency in Nigeria.
During the course of this exercise, you will undergo medical examination to ascertain your fitness to undergo the rigors of the physical fitness aspect and the exercise in general. Other areas are weapon handling, current affairs, and general service knowledge, which will involve physical activities as well as written examination and oral interview.
But let me assure you that equity, fairness, and justice shall be our watchword and guiding principle in the course of this exercise. We should not entertain any fear of the capacity, integrity, and sincerity of the members involved to accomplish this all-important assignment on behalf of the state.
As the 2024 promotion examination ends in 2 weeks, it is expected that successful candidates would become familiar with the high degree of skills and expertise needed to prosecute the war against terrorism. In Jos for News Central, Chizoba Anyonwe.
The cost of living in Nigeria continues to rise, with the headline inflation rates increasing from 32.15% in August to 32.70% in September. Now, this marks a reversal after a few months of declining inflation. The National Bureau of Statistics attributed the rise to increasing prices for food, electricity, fuel, and other essential goods. The Center for the Promotion of Private Enterprises urged the government to take urgent action to address the underlying factors driving inflation, such as production challenges and security issues. NBS noted that the average prices of several items in the consumer basket rose in September compared to the previous month, contributing to the overall increase in the inflation rates. And to unpack this, we're joined by financial analyst and CEO, Asha Investments Limited, Mokhtar Mohammed. Good afternoon. Glad to have you join me on the news. Okay, I begin by asking, how significant, is the hike in petrol prices impacting Nigeria's inflation rate? I mean, what are the ripple effects on transportation as well as production costs?
Well, Nigeria, and I won't say that Nigeria is a petrol economy. All our means of transportation is all tied through PMS. So definitely a hike in that affects our cost of living. And when you look at the price today, via different locations, Lagos, you can get it for 1,100 or 1,050. In places like Ibadan, you can get it for 1,200. Then you go to places like the North, which these household items, food items are coming from, especially, you get it for 1,400. So in some places, they are selling as high as 1,000, 1,500. So definitely that will have an impact in the cost of production, because that means the cost of price, the cost of transportation will go up. And when you look at most of these areas, that is like the food basket of Nigeria, those are areas whereby you have this high cost in PMS price. So definitely it has a ripple effect on every area of every Nigeria. And so definitely when you talk about PMS hike, and which the government didn't seem to understand at that time, you mean you are talking about high cost of living for every Nigeria.
Well, I can't help but ask you, I mean, what does the future hold? The World Bank projected a further rise in inflation for September, this year, 2024. Now, how accurate have these projections been so far, and what key elements are driving this forecast?
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. World Bank, well, I also agree with the World Bank, because at the time some of these reports were written, the MBS came out with their report. Fuel prices have not gone to as high as 1,300, 1,200, or 1,500, like I just mentioned. So definitely that will have a very huge impact on the inflationary figure going forward. What's the second question? Sorry.
I was talking about, what are the factors or elements driving this forecast?
Well, like I said, high cost of petroleum product is one of those elements driving those forecasts. So definitely. Also, you mustn't forget exchange rate volatility is still there. Most of these items, most of what we consume as Nigerians, we import. So once you have that FX volatility, then it has an impact on that. And that's why some of us are still worried that the government said they was going to remove tariff on food item and household item. That has not seen the light of the day yet because of administrative bottlenecks. It has to go through the legislation. It has to go through executive order. So all those things are also playing a part in seeing the high cost of living. You also you could also look at it again in the cost of production, because when you talk about cost of production, you talk about power. In some places it's non-existent, and when it is existent, the cost of power also have gone up. So these are major key drivers of inflationary pressure. And in Nigeria, definitely global world inflationary pressure will be driven by maybe consumer need in terms of supply chain or value chain. But in our own, our inflation is driven by cost of production, microeconomic policy, fiscal policy, exchange rate volatility, and then demand and supply also policy also comes into play. So we are dealing with a very peculiar situation in Nigeria, and so we need to look at it critically and begin to look at ways to address it, ways to reduce this impact on the ordinary Nigerians. And one way to do that is that the government should be ready to take a bite of their revenue, begin to see how they can come up with the removal of tariff for household items. They also begin to look at how they can make cost of funding cheaper. And then security is also key, because most of the farmers that do some of these products, especially in the north, cannot go to their farm because of insecurity or banditry.
Well, today is World Food Day. We can't help but talk about food inflation in Nigeria, which has now, soared to 37.77% in September for this year. What are the main reasons behind the spike? And then which food do you think are mostly affected?
Well, the main reason behind the spike is insecurity. One, especially in the northern area that I've said. Secondly, cost of transportation has gone high. So once of these products are produced, then moving them from one point to another is high. Also, we have to talk about levies that some of these people have to pay when moving from one state to another. Then the exchange rate volatility is there because of the machinery. Some of these machineries are brought from outside the shore of this country. So definitely, those are what is driving food inflation. Some of the items are generally items that Nigerians normally with. Rice is there, beans is there, maize is there. Those are major drivers of inflation. And when you talk about rice, then you begin to wonder, the government 40,000 naira bag of rice, how much has that helped? And a trailer load to be distributed to some states, we have not seen that. So all these are having negative impact on households. And so definitely those are part of what is driving this inflation, especially from goods that most Nigerians will really want to consume in their houses, like I've said, rice, beans, maize, and others. So those are the key drivers of food inflation as it stands, because again, government have not been able to address this area, especially in terms of reducing cost of production, removing tariff from these very important staple foods that almost every house in Nigeria consumes daily.
Well, indeed, we hope we have a lasting solution to the living crisis in Nigeria as soon as possible. Thank you so much for your insight on the news. CEO, Asha Investment, Mokhtar Mohammed, many thanks indeed.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
As part of efforts to rebuild Nigeria's northeast following years of conflict, Ondo State Governor has inaugurated 8 new projects across 3 local councils in southern Ondo State. The governor emphasized that investing in education is crucial for empowering the youth and preventing the recurrence of conflict. Our correspondent, Umaru Kirawa, tells us more.
One of the newly built 60-classroom Islamic colleges in Kwayakusar Local Council, Southern Borno, has been inaugurated. This institution, which learners have begun exploring, aims to provide quality education and promote stability in the area.
Our efforts in education are just one part of broader plan to improve the living conditions of our people. As part of our ongoing resettlement program, we are ensuring that essential social amenities are put in place to strengthen local governance. These lodges are part of a wider initiative to provide infrastructure that support governance and service delivery in local communities, with a total number of 16 government lodges constructed across the state. In the year 2025, inshallah, we'll build 100 teachers' quarters in Butte, 100 units of teachers' quarters, 100 units of teachers' quarters in How, 100 units of teachers' quarters in Magomeri, and 100 units of teachers' quarters in Gobio, and 100 in Maiduguri, inshallah.
10 units of 2-bedroom semi-detached bungalows for teachers were also inaugurated. This initiative addresses the pressing need for adequate housing for educators and aims to attract and retain quality teachers in the area. An ICT center in Briel, as well as 2 government lodges in Kwayakusar and Bayo local councils, were also among the projects inaugurated to support Borno's recovery phase.
If others copy and test the way you approach the development of education in Borno State, we shall really very soon reach the destination. So I thank you very much. I thank the entire people of you and Borno State in general. And indeed, I thank the organizers of this program for making it possible.
Community members expressed hope that this development will lead to improved opportunities and a stronger sense of community resilience, as Governor Zulum also commissioned a housing estate in Buratai town and a new secondary school in Tum village. In southern Borno for News Central, Umori Kirawa.
Lagos State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu has officially launched passenger operations for the first phase of the Lagos Rail Mass Transit Red Line, making it the second rail system to be operational in the city within the last 2 years. The first phase covers a 27-kilometer route from Oyigbo in Lagos to Agbado in Ogun State, with 8 stations located at Oyigbo, Yaba, Mushin, Oshodi, Ikeja, Agege, Iju, and Agbado. News Central's Bernard Akede joined the governor and his team on the inaugural ride, and this is his report.
The first phase of the Lagos Rail Mass Transit Red Line has officially begun operations. Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, alongside top state officials, flagged off the service, opting for a swift start with minimal ceremony. Passengers were immediately directed to the platforms to board the train.
All of my passengers, mind the gap between the platform and the station. Make sure you have your blue cowrie card.
The governor highlighted the use of access cards for passengers, allowing seamless movement across rail, road and water transport systems. As the 27-kilometer rail line links Lagos to Ogun State, safety remains a priority, although concerns have been raised about traders operating near the rail tracks.
Yeah, actually, we need to barricade the line because at Agege, people are trading on the track, and also at Iju, they are also around here.
The launch of the Red Line comes at a time when many Lagos residents are facing rising transportation costs due to the increase in petrol prices. When asked whether the timing of the launch was deliberate to ease these transport burdens, Governor Sanwo-Olu shared his perspective.
You know, we had to cross the T's and dot the I's. It's what it is. You know, there's been a fair price, but we as a government also have to step up very quickly and see if we can provide succor, real succor for our people. Give them an alternative that works better, give them an alternative that gives them, you know, a better return and takes them home safely. So if it's coincidental and it's a good coincidence, I mean, we're happy with that.
In recent months, the state government reduced commercial transportation fare to mitigate the impact of petrol price hike. We asked if similar measures will be applied for the Red Line commuters.
Well, we're looking at the numbers. We don't want to run down our train operations. We want to be sure that, you know, we've looked at what it is, and you can be rest assured that if anybody will cut it, I'll be the first, you know, to ensure that that happens, you know. So, but we just want to get a feel of it, ensure that we have all what it takes. And, you know, if there's a need for us to cut, we will certainly cut.
As Lagos continues to battle road congestions, officials hope this rail project will offer a viable alternative, reducing pressure on road transport and improving mobility in the megacity. In Lagos for News Central, I'm Bernard Akide.
Coming up, Senate launches impeachment debates for Kenya's deputy president. We have details shortly. Join us again. Thank you for staying tuned. Kenya's Senate has begun debating the impeachment of Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua after the embattled politician lost yet another court bid to halt the process. In a historic move last week, the lower house of parliament, the National Assembly, voted overwhelmingly to impeach Gachagua on 11 charges, including corruption and abuse of office. The 59-year-old has denied all allegations and will continue to serve in his role until the Senate decides whether to approve his removal. The upper house started meeting last week, but began formal debate on the motion on Wednesday, initially behind closed doors. A decision is expected on Thursday. It has been just over 100 days since the formation of the broad-based co-governing agreement known as the Government of National Unity. Reflecting on the 7th administration, various analysts and industry experts have highlighted both notable successes and some challenges as the new government finds its footing. For the first time since 1994, the ANC was compelled to form a coalition government following its poor performance in the May elections. And to unpack this, we're joined by political analyst Professor Ntsikelelo Breakfast. Let me kick off by asking how you would assess overall performance of the GNU in its first 100 days, and also what has been the most significant achievements and challenges so far?
Yeah, I don't want to say that so far so good, because I think it's still early days, and because of that, it's quite difficult to see which way the wind is blowing. I mean, there have been threats, like, for instance, the Bella bill, which is a bill on education. So because of the tension between the ANC and the DA, and those are the two main political parties in that GNU. Of course, there are other political parties as well, but the tension is between the two. So to appease other sections of the population who are unhappy about the way things are, the president has put some sections on hold. So that was a thorny issue. Then secondly, there is also another piece of legislation that is under a review at the moment, which is called the NHI, whereby the state will provide health to the citizens. But some people feel like it will prevent the private sector from rendering the services that it was giving to its customers. So I think those are the two threats which are posing danger. But the GNU has been widely embraced by the market forces. I mean, the rand has been performing well. The economy has responded well. But the problem is that the growth that we have witnessed of late have not trickled down to the poorest of the poor. So I would use four variables to measure the GNU. The first one is inequality, poverty, unemployment, and then the third one is poverty. So those are the most important things that we should use as markers to examine the performance of the GNU, because those are the main security threats which are posing a danger to our democracy. But lastly and most importantly, the GNU has also caused a tension within the ruling party, because there are different factions which are pulling in different directions. There is a section that is unhappy about the GNU. It thinks that it is deviating from the outlook or the ideology of the party, which is the National Democratic Revolution. There's also another faction that says, no, the electoral outcomes have been a strategic setback. Therefore, this is not a strategy, but a tactic.
Well, I was going to ask you that. You took the words right out of my mouth. I was going to ask you about, any tension within the party or success as a result of this collaboration, and forming the GNU. You made reference to friction between ANC as well as DA. How well has GNU addressed these issues?
There is a conflict that has broken out, and in the bigger scheme of things, I think the discourse that has been framed as a result of the GNU has to do with the strategic direction of the party. So you have one faction which is led by, I would say, the Secretary General of the ANC, Fikile Mbalula, also the president of the ANC. Those are the proponents of the GNU. They are running with this conception. But also you have another faction. The ANC, as you know, is in a tripartite alliance with the Communist Party, which is a party that stands for the working class. And they're unhappy about this because they think that the GNU is a class project. So the ANC normally elects its leaders every 5 years. And next year they are going to hold a National General Council meeting where they will assess the performance of the leadership. And after that, there will be a conference. And I think the debate is going to be raised sharply. And whoever wins the debate, in my opinion, regarding the GNU will also win the leadership contest, I think maybe 2 years from now. So in the bigger scheme of things, I think the two factions are concerned about the soul of the ANC, the lifeblood of the ANC, the strategic direction that the party is taking. But regardless who wins the debate, my view is that South Africa will never have one-party dominance. I think one-party dominance is a thing of the past. So coalition arrangements are going to be with us a bit longer.
Well, we'll see how things turn out within the GNU. We'll keep in touch. We'll keep in touch with you, of course, to see how things pan out. Thank you so much for your time on the news, Professor Ntsikelelo Breakfast, political analyst. Many thanks indeed. Sports accolades have continued to pour in for Waheed Enitan Oshodi, the newly appointed president of the African Table Tennis Federation. The executive vice president of the International Table Tennis Federation succeeded Egypt's Khalid El Salhi. Oshodi was unanimously elected by a 40-member electorate who rallied behind him massively to take over from the Egyptian who completed his third term. By virtue of the victory, Oshodi stands as the only Nigerian heading in a continental sports organization. South Africa's Hajari Kaji, who took executive vice president, congratulated Oshodi on his appointment. Nigeria's Olabanji Oladapo earned a seat on the ITTF Council as one of 8 African representatives after a competitive election. Soweto Giants Orlando Pirates have revealed that influential centre-back Olisa Nda has been ruled out of action for the rest of the year due to injury. The Buccaneers confirmed on Monday that Nda suffered a tibia fracture against Polokwane City last month and is to face a lengthy recovery period. The news comes as a big blow for the Sea Robbers, who are gearing up to lock horns against newly promoted Premiership outfit Magesi FC in the Carling Knockouts Cup on Saturday. The Soweto Giants recently made history as the first team to win the Super 8 title 3 times in a row and are looking to add the Carling Knockout Cup to their trophy cabinet. Africa's football governing body, CAF, has announced that Morocco will host the 2024 edition of the CAF Women's Champions League final. The CAF Women's Champions League Morocco 2024 will be played between the 9th to the 23rd of November 2024. Morocco hosted the 2022 edition of the CAF Women's Champions League. 8 clubs will contest the top prize. Winners will get $400,000 in prize money, with runners-up walking away with $250,000. Mamelodi Sundowns are current holders, having won the competition twice in 3 years. Morocco's Asfa is the other team that has won the competition back in 2022 when they defeated Mamelodi Sundowns. And that's all on the news. Let's take a look again at some of the major stories. At least 105 people have died in Jigawa petrol tanker explosion. Oko Jumbo-led Rivers Assembly has resolved to sanction Amawule Group over defection. We also told you that Kenyan Senate has launched impeachment debate for Deputy President Gachagua. You can watch News Central live on DSTV, Channel 422, Star Times, Channel 274, Avo TV, and YouTube. Many thanks for watching. I am Adebola Adedugba.